Thank you for joining us. I'm Jackie Park.
And I'm Eric Biehn.
It felt like February really just flew by, maybe because it's shorter than the other months.
I mean, regardless though, so much happened. Let's start with where we left off. At the end of January, fraternities welcomed their new pledge class. But soon after, 4 chapters were suspended as hazing allegations surfaced. We confirmed that one incident involved a couple brothers of one fraternity approaching a random freshman, covering his eyes, then shoving him in the car, only to later realize that the person they had kidnapped was not in the pledge class they were looking for.
The Me Too monologues took place throughout early February. The annual production helps raise awareness about a variety of issues on campus and beyond.
Congratulations to Trey Walk, who was elected as the next undergraduate Young Trustee. We were able to organize an exclusive interview with him to ask about his thoughts on the role.
Well, first of all, congratulations on
Thank you.
becoming the new Young Trustee. How do you feel?
I feel really good. I'm really excited about it. I think that I'm really lucky in that I got elected when the Young Trustee gets a 3-year term. So I got a lot of kind of time to be spending time solving these problems and kind of wrestling through some of the big things Duke is working on in the next few years.
A lot of students are actually not aware of what a Young Trustee does.
Sure.
So could you briefly explain what your role is and what kind of things that you guys do?
Sure. So Young Trustee is a full member of the Board of Trustees, just like any other trustee. So you have 1 year as a non-voting member, and then you get 2 years as a voting member of the board. And so the board deliberates everything from Duke's financial decisions to providing strategic guidance to Duke administrators on everything from student affairs to hirings on campus to academics and the curriculum at Duke. So it's a pretty broad range of things, but the board is really there as an advisor and helping the administrators think through some of the problems that they're working on. And then they also, are kind of thinking strategically and long-term about Duke in the next, 20, 50 years and what Duke will look like.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific plans of what you want to do as a Young Trustee?
Sure. So I don't get to, kind of have like a platform or specific things that I want to do, but I think that there are definitely ways to do it well and things that I hope I'm able to do. I think that I'm really excited about trying to figure out what it looks like to stay really engaged with folks who are here on campus and people here in Durham. I have a lot of good relationships that I've built over the past 4 years here, and so I don't imagine this going away, and really want people who are kind of on the ground experiencing things to help shape what I'm thinking about when I'm in the boardroom. That's something I'm excited about, thinking about how to do that and do that well. The other piece is I think there are some specific challenges that are really at the forefront in this moment in time, which are some of the things I was excited to talk about during the campaign. One of the big ones being mental health and wellness on campus. I think Duke is one of the places that's put a lot of resources into this, but I think that there's still a lot of work to be done in translating that into the student experience. So I think that, thinking about what it means for the academic side of the student experience, so with faculty and in classrooms, what it means to incorporate mental health and wellness there and really be thinking about that at the forefront. And also connecting it to some of the other issues on campus, so things like trauma from sexual assault or, the campus climate whenever hate and bias incidents happen. I think that all of them are connected and really shape a student's ability to, kind of come here and learn and research and be a student well. And so I'm excited to think through some of those things with some of the other trustees.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to come or run for this position?
Yeah, sure. It's really exciting. It's a really cool position. I think that I've been really blessed the past few years here at Duke to have had some experience working with Duke administrators on different campus issues and working with students and really kind of identifying where are the places that we think Duke can be better. And I think that those experiences made me realize that these are challenges that if anyone can get them right, I think Duke can. And I think that, the role of Young Trustee is really cool because this institution really has an opportunity to get things right and to solve these problems. And so I'm excited to, kind of be in the ring and keep problem solving. And I think it's a really cool way to kind of finish out my Duke experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So which parts of your Duke experience do you think helped you prepare for this position?
Sure. I think a few things. I think that I've tried to spend my time at Duke really breaking down any sort of boundary or disconnect between myself as a citizen of Duke and a citizen of Durham. And I think that I very much identify as belonging to the Durham community, and so being involved at the Community Empowerment Fund has been one of the most important things I think I've done at Duke. We work with people in Durham, experiencing either homelessness or financial insecurity, and work with them one-on-one relationship to work towards their financial goals. And that's been really meaningful, getting a sense of some of the pressing local issues going on in Durham with, homelessness and the housing crisis has been great. And then I've done, research on Durham, and I've tried to, be engaged there as much as I can, and I think that that's something unique and bring to the boardroom that I'm excited to do. And then I think the other piece is I've been involved on campus in a variety of different ways, sometimes through different affinity groups and organizations, and then sometimes through on-campus advocacy and different university committees. And I think that all of those things kind of culminate to let me see different parts of Duke. It's a pretty diffuse, spread out place, but I think getting experience in different parts of it hopefully will prepare me well.
Super involved.
And I know you're super involved in
union.
People State
Yeah.
of the Union.
Yeah.
Do you think that experience helped you in particular?
Yeah, definitely. I think that People Say has been really formative for me. I think that it's really exciting what's happening on campus. I think that campus is more active and engaged than it was when I first got here, which is really cool. And I think that People Say has helped open up processes of university governance, so everything that's happened in the past year, related to that is, the Board of Trustees taking on a new transparency initiative, which is one of the things People Say raised, to being able to get students in rooms with administrators talking about different issues that were raised. One time there was a lesson on Duke University finances that we were able to host with a professor. And I think that, moments like that are something that weren't happening on the first couple years I got here, so I think People Say has helped me really think through what it means to have students and just people who are impacted, like really sitting in the room and at the table with people who are making decisions to help make better decisions. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
I want to talk a little bit about your campaign.
Sure.
So you were the most endorsed candidate by a bunch of campus organizations.
Mhm.
And what do you think was the secret?
I don't know if there's a secret. I think that one thing that I tried to do as often as possible was to listen, and I think that that's something that's really important. So going into, endorsement and meetings with group, and as often as I could, I would ask them, what are the issues that y'all are working on, and what are things that you think are relevant to the Board of Trustees, and you want someone to know if they are elected to this position. And that being the case, wanting to learn those things and being interested, because it would make me better at this job if I was elected, but even if not, being a student who's engaged in on-campus issues, I think it just makes me think about Duke in better, more, accurate and holistic ways. And so listening, I think, was really an important piece of that. And then I think another important piece was kind of having experience working with different student groups over the past few years, sometimes through People Say on-campus advocacy, but sometimes in other ways. I think that, having relationships with people beforehand definitely helps, because you kind of know some of the issues that are facing those communities, and so that definitely helps. Yeah.
Do you have any tips for future students that are considering running in the following years?
Sure. I'd say my advice is don't try to be who you think, a candidate running for a student, campus position should be. I think, lean into who you are and what makes you unique and what your strengths are, because I think that that's something that people will, really see, and they value authenticity, and I think that that's really important. One other thing that I think would be interesting or cool is I think the position is traditionally run for and a senior is elected, but I think it would be really cool if younger students did run. They are allowed to, and I think that it would be really amazing to think about what it means to have a young trustee who's still on campus. So if there are any people who are, currently sophomores or first years who want to run next year, I think that would be something that's really cool, and I encourage that.
What did you think was the most effective platform in campaigning? Was it social media or reaching out to people individually? And I know young trustees also go to different groups like SLGs and just different clubs.
I think one of the things that was really great is definitely, speaking before groups, and I think all of the candidates do that. Another thing we were able to do is spend a lot of time on East Campus and really, talking to first years. A lot of them, as you talked about earlier, don't know much about the young trustee position or what the process is, and so I think that it was really cool to get them engaged and, kind of thinking long term, like, even though you've only been here, for a few months, like, think long term, like, what do you want Duke to look like in 10, 15, 20 years, and we were able to ask them that and have them engage in this process and, learn what the Board of Trustees is and does. So that was something that I think was really effective too.
Yeah, well, do you have any final remarks?
Sure. I think that I'm really excited for this, and I think that I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I really want to think about how to stay engaged with students, and so if anyone has anything that's kind of pressing on their heart or mind for the next 3 years, which is really cool, definitely reach out to me. I want to be someone who's available and able to keep people in the loop in what's going on. Also, the Board of Trustees has open forums after all of the board meetings, and so it's really cool when people show up to that and are able to ask questions and say, hey, what were we all talking about? What's on the agenda? And so I think that students should definitely show up to those. But yeah, I'm ready to work.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for making the time for us.
Yeah,
and
thank
good
you
luck.
for having me. Thanks.
Many Duke students enjoyed an alternative Valentine's Day celebration, bringing to light the importance of different types of love besides romantic love, including friendships, familial love, and self-love.
Mid-February, Tenters released their crazies at P-Checks to celebrate the end of the long and exhausting process. Icona Pop took the stage for this year's concert, and their hit song, I Love It, drove the crowd wild.
Duke's gonna win!
On game day, Tenters filled Cavo with immense excitement and energy despite the cold and rainy weather. But the jubilation did not last. Not even a minute into the game, Zion Williamson sprained his ankle and was out. Duke struggled in defense, and by the end of the first half, UNC was up by 10 points.
Nevertheless, Cameron crazies did not die down. Even with 1 minute left, students continued to passionately boo against the Tar Heels. The game ended with Duke's defeat, so this year, students headed straight back to their rooms instead of rushing to the main quad. This wasn't the only tragedy resulting from this year's game. A couple days following the game, 3 resident assistants within one RA team were fired for having black tented without informing the Housing and Residence Life Office, also known as HRL.
The student community has since been making an effort to reverse the decision. They question the decision-making process as well as the validity of RA policies. We investigated the details to get some answers.
This Monday, Neighborhood 5, which consists of 2 freshman residence halls, Bell Tower and Trinity, lost 3 of their RAs, a fifth of the entire RA team. The termination statement stated, "You do not discuss your intention to tent with the RC in advance or seek approval, and that decision was intentional." Followingly, the 3 students were given 4 days to find new housing. The decision was met with immediate resistance by the student community. On social media platforms, students posted memes expressing their frustration with HRL, in addition to circulating a petition against the 3 RA's termination. The petition received nearly 800 signatures within 3 days. Furthermore, the incident compelled students to raise concerns about HRL's general decision-making process as well as the validity of the existing RA policies. We reached out to LB to receive some clarification on the questions that were raised. LB declined our request for an in-person interview, but she briefly responded to the questions we had provided via email. She stated that she was not able to share much information or discuss individual situations, and she pointed out that the questions were based on assumptions. However, she neither provided any explanation countering those assumptions, nor reveal how the 3 RAs were identified for secretly tenting and the details of how HRL arrived at the decision of their immediate termination. The 3 students filed appeals to reverse their termination decision. 2 of the appeals went through while 1 was ultimately deemed terminated. LB did not reveal the reasoning behind the 1 RA's termination as opposed to the others. To review the full interview and receive updates, click on the link provided below. Jackie Park, Blues News, Durham.
We know February had a lot in store, but I can't wait to see what March has to offer for us.
And remember to hit that subscribe button down below. And remember,
Good news
is great news
with Blues News.
See you next month.